Let's give you an easy to follow guide for using both Yeti Smash and Yeti Bobat all in one video to earn you 3 stars. What's going on, my friends? My name's Corrupt. Let's teach you the fundamentals of the Yeti Smash first. It's a very simple attack. The main goal should be to create the funnel on 2 sides. One side of the base should be creating the funnel by using a Warden walk or Queen walk, and the other side should be funneled out by using the Siege Barrack and the King. That way what you're able to do is get the Yetis to go all the way up towards the Town Hall. You do want to go in for the Eagle first because the Yetis are weaker to the Eagle. They're not as tanky as a P.E.K.K.A, and therefore you need to get rid of the Eagle as soon as possible. Other than that, it's a very simple attack, and you can use this versus single target Infernos. It doesn't matter what mode they are, you've got the Yeti mites to really provide a lot of support for your Yetis and your bowlers. Other than this, you're going to start off with the Warden walk. Now, one tip to keep in mind, you do want to make sure that you use a balloon, because you do not want a black seeking air mine to already destroy one of your healers, especially if you only bring 4 of them. So you want to be able to make sure that you are using a balloon to keep them alive. So that is one fatal flaw that you could make in this attack. Other than that, you don't need to do the Warden walk for too long. Once you know that you have a solid funnel already set, you can start creating the funnel on the other side by using the Barbarian King and the Siege Barrack. Using a super wall breaker right here opens that area up for both of them so that then they can easily start working their way through. And it also doesn't need to be too long of a walk if you use the Queen. But the main goal is very simple. Again, you want to be able to create the other side of the funnel. The Siege Barrack and the King just provide an easy funnel. It's almost a guaranteed one. That way you can actually start sending in your Yetis. You want to be able to make sure that you use it within his aura. That way you're able to lure him over to go into support mode. Now you see that the Yetis and the bowlers are starting to move in towards the core. This is really where a lot is going on, but it's very simple. All you want to be able to make sure that you're doing is using the rage spells and following your Yetis. The Yetis are going to be very prized, especially the Yeti mites. So make sure that you use those Yeti mites and Yetis to your advantage. You may notice that they are dying a little quickly, so maybe that could be one of the reasons why many aren't using Yetis. But the main goal is you've also got the use of Hog Riders. You've got them to provide a lot of support on the back and side, so that way you're able to still easily work your way through. You can even bring your own Hog Riders to move in. But the main goal should be to take care of the Town Hall. If you do indeed still need to deal with something like a super minion, you can easily deal with it, and you have the Queen finish off the Town Hall. Sometimes your Yetis might not go in that direction, but if you notice, we don't have that many Yetis. So Yetis are not really the best in terms of a smash, but it can still work. It really just depends upon the timing of your rage spells and really how you're able to control them. As Yetis, in my personal opinion, almost kind of are like Valkyries in a way. They are still very good, but a little bit more base specific than other Yeti attacks. But it's very simple to understand what you're doing with them and how you can easily get a 3-star with the use of the Yeti Smash. All these fundamentals can be into play, especially when you start to use the Yeti Bobat. Another very fun attack is the Yeti Bobat. This one is a very simple attack that can be used against both multis and all single target Infernos if you're seeing this. Along with that, it's going to start the same way. You're going to be using a Warden walk or Queen walk on one side. You're going to create the funnel on the other with the King, so that then you can send in your Yetis, bowlers, and the log launcher towards both the Town Hall and the Eagle Artillery. That's it. That is how simple it is. So you're going to start off with the use of a Warden or Queen walk. This is going to help you get through. Now, this base is a common one. These are the easier type of bases. It's very easy because there's only sort of one layer in terms of defenses or other structures. So it doesn't mean that you don't really need to create a funnel for nearly as long. But you're going to be using the Warden here in order to pick off these structures and make it a lot easier for you to then send in the other side of the funnel, mainly consisting of the Barbarian King. So that way what you're able to then do is control where your Yetis and bowlers are going to be going into, because you want to make it very simple. You want to get rid of as much splash as possible. This includes things like the Wizard Towers, Multi-Infernos, the Eagle, and the Town Hall. That way what you're able to then do is use the bat spells, which we will be getting to a little bit later. The main goal here is to use those Yetis, have the king to provide a bit of support while using his ability. That way you're able to start moving the way in towards the Town Hall and also dealing with the enemy CC troops, even if it is super minions. The main goal though should be to use the Warden Eternal Tome to protect the Yetis, the bowlers, any of your other heroes like the Queen, and that way you're also able to protect the log launcher from getting taken down too soon. That way you can still easily start working your way through. Now you've gotten through a larger area of the base. You do have a couple single Infernos, but the main thing here is this. There are only 2 other splash buildings to get rid of. Just these 2. Normally, I would recommend using an Ice Golem on a Wizard Tower in order to make sure that none of the bats get taken down from that unless the Ice Golem gets taken down. And outside of that, you're going to be using the bat spells in a bat wave format. You want to use the free spell in order to make sure that you are able to take down the Wizard Tower as quickly as possible, and you also want to make sure that you're able to get through. Even if the Ice Golem dies, you can take advantage of it, but sometimes it may be a little too slow. Other than that, you have the Yeti Mites, you've got the bats, and they're just going to easily work themselves through and also provide a lot of support on cleanup. Other than that, it's a very simple attack. It does not take all too much, and if you wanted to use a ground attack that isn't a P.E.K.K.A. Bobat with the bat spells, the Yeti Bobat is probably the best Bobat attack that you can actually use right now. Now you can also use the Yeti Smash with a Stone Slammer. The Yeti Smash does work hand in hand. It's the OG siege machine for using with smash attacks, and thus it is a very simple way to still get through a base without having to use the siege barrack. The main goal though should be creating the funnel on one side with the king and the other side with a Warden Walk or Queen Walk. Now this base is probably the best for this because you can easily control your Yetis and your bowlers to go straight the way through. Now keep in mind, this attacker or this player here on this base has a Town Hall 13 with a max CC, 45 housing space, and also a Royal Champ active. So this can still be done against a fairly new Town Hall 13, as long as they don't have the scatter shots, of course. But the main goal is very simple. You can still use this versus singles, like I mentioned earlier, but the main goal should be starting off with a Warden Walk. You can use some sneaky goblins in case there are collectors or storages that you can take advantage of and to speed up the process of the Warden Walk. It just makes everything far easier. Remember, you still want to use a balloon just in case there could be a seeking air mine in that location. You're also going to maybe use a super wall breaker in order to break open an area for your Yetis to start moving in, and that way you can also go ahead and use the king on the other in order to make sure that you're able to get all the way through in creating the funnel. It makes it easier. That way, you can start sending in your Yetis to start moving in towards the Eagle artillery. Like I mentioned, the Eagle is a big threat to your Yetis, so getting rid of it as soon as possible is exactly what you want to do. Outside of that, you've got an easy lane for your Yetis once you create the funnel on either side, and that way you can then send in the Yetis, bowlers, queen, and you can let your king go in to the base to provide more tankage and support. As you can see from here, using the first jump spell, notice that the jump spell is being used in order to make sure that he's able to only get into the core for the Town Hall and to deal with the enemy CC. Along with this, he's got the use of the Stone Slammer and the Ice Golems. The Ice Golem is being used in order to prevent the Royal Champion from locking onto the Stone Slammer itself. It is a smart way in order to deal with these type of stuff, and you can easily take her down with no problem if you decide on bringing a Headhunter. as you're able to easily start working your way through, you've got the use of the Stone Slammer to create the funnel, maybe open wall layers, but you've got the Yetis to easily start moving through with the Yeti Mites to take care of other structures. You've even got the use of Hog Riders from the use of that Stone Slammer instead of balloons. That's where you can bring a heal spell to provide a lot of support for them, especially going towards the back end where it's very, very simple. Now, this defender had an Ice Golem and Golem in the CC, which I've never seen before, but that seems to be one of the weirdest compositions in the CC that I've ever seen. But it's an easy one to deal with. I mean, it's 2 tanks. They're really not going to do that much damage to a smash attack, so as long as you have the healers, you're all good. But overall, it's a very simple attack to master and to use. The Yeti Smash, if you're a fan of using Yetis, this is a fantastic thing to try out right now. If you don't want to use P.E.K.K.A.s and you want to stick with the Yetis and the bowlers, you can of course do that. It's an easy way to get triples by using the Yetis. Now, if all the splash is a little bit more spread out, like this base design here, you can still wreck through it. All you want to do, though, is start with the Warden Walk or Queen Walk. Remember, if you do decide on doing a Queen Walk, you do need to actively create the funnel. You can bring an Electro Dragon, you can bring a Baby Dragon, you name it. As long as you're able to create the funnel for the Queen, then that is going to help you a lot. So the main goal here is to start with the Warden Walk. You want to be able to make sure that you're creating enough of a funnel so that way you can send in the Yetis towards the Eagle. In this case, we do have the Wizard Towers close by to the Eagle, so that way you can easily send in the Log Launcher this direction and still get towards it. Of course, you can still bring Electro Dragons depending on how many Yetis and Bowlers you think you're going to need. Other than that, it really comes down to knowing how much of the base can you get through with the use of the E-Drag to create the other side of the funnel. Other than that, you can still use the Barbarian King himself, then use the Log Launcher with the Yetis and the Bowlers to start working themselves in towards the base. That is exactly what you want to be able to make sure that you're doing, because you want to be able to make sure that you're easily start working your way in towards the core, because that is exactly where you want to be able to get to, especially for something like the Town Hall and the Eagle Artillery, but you just want to get rid of as much splash as possible. So you created the funnel just enough so you can send in the Yetis and the Bowlers to easily smash through. You do want to save that Warden ability for all the Yetis and Bowlers, especially the Log Launcher. If you decide on not using the wall or the ability on the Log Launcher, that's completely fine, because you can save it for the Bowlers and for the Yetis that go through the Town Hall, therefore protecting them. Now you can see that we got rid of a large area and now leaving not 2 Wizard Towers, but 3 of them. Remember, using an Ice Golem on top of the Wizard Tower can provide a lot of really good support. Unfortunately though, sometimes it might be a little too late. So you do want to be able to prepare based upon the base and seeing if it is possible to use an Ice Golem earlier rather than later. In this case though, the bats really don't need to get over to these final Wizard Towers, because the Smash, the Yetis, and the Bowlers and the Queen already took care of it with no problem. And it's a very simple attack to learn. In this case, he didn't need to worry about the back end, and he could just use those free spells really on any other defenses. Usually if there's a smaller amount of bats, you may want to use them with maybe a giant in order to provide a little bit tankage, so that way they don't take as much damage from other point defenses, because other point defenses can overwhelm them. Other than that, just be very careful of red air bombs and of course tornado traps, but you can easily get the triple with no problem whatsoever. If you want to see a full breakdown of the Yeti Bobat and seeing me hit live, make sure you guys check it out right here, and make sure to subscribe, and I'll be catching you in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.